Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Saturday everybody. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. This week, China has seen several high-profile raids of foreign-run companies, renewing concerns among some foreign investors and corporations around the risks of doing business in the PRC, especially for Western and Japanese firms, as tensions between Beijing and Washington rise. Early this week, it was confirmed that 2 weeks ago, Chinese police visited the Shanghai offices of U.S. management consulting group Bain & Company and questioned employees. 6 people familiar with the situation, speaking with UK-based Financial Times, said that police took away computers and phones but did not detain any team members. 3 of the people said police made more than one visit to the offices. This police raid comes after authorities made a similar move last month against the Beijing office of U.S. due diligence firm Mintz Group and detained 5 local staff. It remains unclear what the police have been looking for. Earlier this year too, Beijing detained a Japanese worker from a Japanese pharmaceutical company on spying charges. On Thursday, US-based Wall Street Journal wrote that business executives who have consulted with Chinese authorities say, quote, "A central tenet of the effort is the desire to more tightly control the narrative about Chinese governance and development and limit the information collected by foreign companies, such as auditors, management consultants, and law firms that could influence how the outside world views China," end quote. Adding, quote, "The push is driven by a deepening conviction within China's leadership that foreign capital, while important to China's economic rise, isn't to be fully trusted," end quote. If these comments are accurate, it will likely cause a deeply chilling effect on global investor and business confidence. Quote, "So send us your money, but only we can tell you what to ask for, say or think. This is not a recipe for encouraging foreign investment. I'm now hearing of more raids since the Bain ones. These are not isolated raids, but part of a bigger, chilling campaign. We should all be paying more attention to the national policy concept, better coordinate development and security," end quote. And the business community is indeed watching. This week, Michael Hart, president of AmCham China, said that American companies feel the overall environment for investment in China is becoming less predictable than before. Then, specifically speaking about Beijing's recent cybersecurity probe into U.S. technology company Micron, the Chamber of Commerce leader expressed, quote, "There is currently no real evidence showing that Micron's products provided or stood as an example of a particular vulnerability to China," end quote. Lester Ross, chair of the policy committee at AmCham China, expressed that, quote, "The probe suggests other companies or industries could be signaled out by Beijing based on unclear suspicions," end quote. Recently, state-run Xinhua also made comments which would suggest that some of these concerns from foreign firms are legitimate. Quote, "Nowadays, the actions of overseas spy intelligence agencies and anti-China hostile forces that endanger China's national security are no longer limited to the traditional security field. Some organizations and personnel are under the guise of foreign non-governmental organizations, investigation and consulting companies," end quote. The raids are receiving political attention in Washington too. Lawmaker Mike Gallagher, who chairs a congressional committee on China, said in a statement on Thursday, quote, "Our business leaders need to take off their golden blindfolds and recognize that the recent police raids of American companies are not one-offs, but part of a long, proud tradition of exploitation," end quote. These raid developments may also be tied to recently announced amendments to China's espionage law. On this, Jerome Cohen, a respected China law expert at New York University, expressed, quote, "The anticipated amendments to the espionage law add to the already breathtaking breadth of its provisions," end quote, with most concern focused on the expanding definition of state secrets to cover, quote, "any documents, data, materials, or items related to national security," end quote. Next up, the space race. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode of China Update, don't forget to hit that like button. It's just me making these episodes every day. It's a lot of work, but your guys' support is a huge source of motivation. Subscribing and sharing is a huge help as well, and for those who can go the extra mile and help me keep the channel financially sustainable, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. Thank you so much, everybody, for the ongoing support. This week, China hosted its first international deep space exploration conference, which saw the publication of Beijing's outline for its ambitious space policy and plans. At the event, the director of the newly formed Deep Space Exploration Laboratory said that China plans to work with global partners to construct a basic version of an International Lunar Research Station, ILRS, before 2028, an improved version by 2040, and to further complete one with application functions by around 2050. State-run Xinhua writes that the 2028 basic version is tasked to execute lunar environment exploration and experiment and verifications of the use of lunar resources. With the 2040 improved version, Chinese scientists are hoping to carry out Earth-Moon space environment exploration and relevant scientific experiments, as well as complete the construction of so-called constellation satellites, which will enhance communication, navigation, and remote sensing capabilities. The state-run Global Times writes, quote, "The ILRS, an international cooperation proposed by China, will comprise 5 infrastructure systems, including an Earth-Lunar transportation system, long-term operation and supplying system on the lunar surface transport and operation system, lunar scientific research facility, as well as a ground support and application system." End quote. Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post reports that during the ILRS-4 mission, large-scale nuclear power sites will be set up on the lunar surface to support experiments and basic research in physics and life sciences. ILRS-5 will focus primarily on building moon-based research infrastructure for astronomical observation. One official at the event said that, quote, "China will carry out its first demonstration task of a near-Earth asteroid and assess the effects of a 50-meter-long asteroid crash." End quote. Another official at the event, Zhang Xuhui, Executive Vice President of the China Academy of Aerospace Science and Technology Innovation, unveiled the so-called MIYIN, MIYIN program, which, quote, aims to detect another Earth among near neighbors of the solar system through the launching of a telescope array. It will also carry out high-resolution imaging and spectroscopic observations of various types of objects to map the water composition of the solar system, opening a new era of high-resolution astronomical observation. End quote. Of course, we cannot know how much of this plan is going to succeed, but it is all certainly very ambitious. Of course, space exploration is a very bumpy road. This week, for example, Zhang Rongqiao, the chief designer of China's Mars exploration program, admitted to state-run CCTV in an interview that, quote, "Based on our analysis, the most likely possibility is that an unpredictable accumulation of dust from Mars led to a decrease in our Mars rover's ability to produce electricity, such that its electricity was insufficient for it to wake up." End quote. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.